Hello, this is Trop, and today we'll be talking about the future demographics of the world and how scary it is going to be, and why there should be a cause for concern, etc, etc. So let's get into this. So this is going to be a part 2, if you will, but the title is not going to reflect that. Just keep that in mind. Ever since the Industrial Revolutions, even the early stages of the Industrial Revolution in the 1700s, 1800s, which was particularly seen in England, and then spread to much of Europe and then North America as well. However, as cities got more dirty and more densely populated and just more filled with bacteria, there was kind of a need subsequently to improve hygiene and to generally improve medicine. Particular example being Jon Snow and the development of just general hygiene and the improvement of plumbing. Though still at that time, infant mortality rates were still very much high, so people generally speaking had loads of kids. Which is, very, very normal in this unstable time in history. And as mentioned in the previous video, movements such as the counter-revolution of the 1960s, the pill, just general contraception, affected much of the birth rates in the West, subsequently for many decades, and in fact still is, because the decline of birth rates was eventually seen in the Eastern Bloc as well. However, that was more of a result of just general economic decline, people emigrating to other countries, and basically kind of like a lack of motivation to have kids in such an environment, in post-communist environment, if you will. Countries such as Kazakhstan, with various minorities who got, in a way, repatriated, especially the Volga Germans in this, saw a general decline in birth rates and population growth. Though later on, as the economy grew and they got a little bit richer, they were able to rebound their population consensus, which is pretty good, and it's a very rare example of a country with a low fertility birth rate doing the reverse subsequently after a few decades of some tinkering and economic growth, which is pretty interesting. Though now, generally speaking, the vast majority of countries, their birth rates are falling. I think it is literally projected that at the end of this century, the world population should be slowing down and starting to decline, or the beginning of the next century. I believe it does seem to be like that. Obviously, statistics and information is changing every day because there are some gaps in the information, and various agencies got different standards of recording the data in this. However, it does seem to be like that. Anyway, this century, Europe's population is most definitely going to decline, and already in just the past 60 years, we've been kind of mitigating that birth rate decline of immigrants all over across the world. So though Europe's population is most certainly going to decline, also consider that the birth rates of immigrant families, as they stay here longer for more generations, the birth rates stabilise, and they kind of come accustomed to the birth rates of natives as well, so that's kind of a thing to consider. So the general population of Europe is going to be more diverse, and it's going to have a whole bunch of old people as well. Other countries in South Asia, such as India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, are still experiencing a population boom not seen since Mao's China, I guess, will still continue to grow this century. However, as India specifically gets more stabilized, the economy kind of gets better and population gets wealthier, it is expected that people will start having less kids, and apparently the population will start declining, supposedly in the year 2062. China, just across the Himalayas, is going through a population crisis at this very moment. Not enough kids are being born, thanks to the one-child policy, and supposedly from various agencies not connected to the CCP, the population has started to decline, and apparently China has faked their statistics in the past, so it is very unassuring, to say the least. Indonesia is another country that will be experiencing a massive population increase over this century, and there's not much I could say about that. Since it is basically the biggest Muslim country, I believe that religion will play an important role in the family structure in this. So over in Africa, it is looking pretty good in terms of the entire population thing, because it is still the developing world, it is still very much third world, and now generally maybe seemingly is less ravaged by civil wars, kind of, so there's that as well. Lagos is, by some estimates, has got 19 million people living in it. Africa is going to experience a construction boom. Probably this century is going to have loads of megacities. Over in North America, obviously the natural birth rate in the United States is declining because Christianity is more or less declining, which kind of begs the question: is that, are we going to see that with Islam in the next centuries, decades, maybe in the world, or with other religions in the future as well? Maybe there'll be various societal changes, and maybe the role of religion is going to be decreased. Like, who knows? That could always happen, and it might just, because obviously religion is an important part of the family structure. Maybe we'll be seeing a decline or an increase in population, like literally, who knows? So I think that should be maybe accounted in the future. But anyway, returning back to North America. Canada has been kind of going through the same thing. So over the past 30 years, they've been importing loads of immigrants from across the third world mainly, which is affecting its population right now. In Central America, which encompasses Mexico, Nicaragua, Panama, those countries, that we're also seeing a kind of steep and kind of maybe slow decline in birth rates. To that, loads of people are constantly migrating from those places to obviously the United States. So there's that to consider as well. South America is kind of maybe the same. It does have more well-off countries such as Argentina and Chile, and those countries are obviously now going through kind of a crisis, decline if you will. So there's also that. And then you've got less well-off countries that are still more or less going a little bit better when it comes to the entire demographic thing. Australia is pretty interesting as well, because now over the past few decades it's been importing loads of people from the third world ever since kind of the end of the War Australia policy. So there's that to consider, and supposedly a quarter of the population, that's 5 million plus people have been born abroad. So that just goes to show how migrant heavy that country is as of now. Yeah, it's very difficult to summarize this, because if you look at a continental basis, you can see various trends. Africa is growing because it's still developing. Europe, North America, Australia are, if you really want to generalize, are declining. But then you've got countries such as Australia and Canada that are importing loads of immigrants. It's very difficult to generalize things on a continental basis. So there's that to consider. I think